Excellencies, COP26 Presidency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. We meet in this virtual setting when the world actually straddles between recovery and uncertainty. And COVID-19 vaccines have actually begun rollout, but the new variants of the virus are being discovered around the globe. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the year 2020 was supposed to herald the decade of action to deliver on global development goals with greater speed and scope. And I'm afraid that broad ambition is long obsolete. And what we need now is an unprecedented symbiotic push towards post-pandemic socio-economic recovery that reinstates development gains lost since early 2020 and kickstarts massive resource mobilization to ensure that the recovery is actually sustainable, resilient, and leaves no one behind. COVID-19, ladies and gentlemen, has shown what the world can do if we work together to solve a common existential threat. And we have developed vaccines in record times, implemented lockdowns across borders in collaboration, and mobilized financial resources and fiscal relief measures at rapid scales. I do not see why the same cannot be done for an even greater threat that is climate change. We must not forget that the existential threat of climate change will persist much longer than any pandemic. Our collective global efforts to solving the climate crisis will define our ability to achieve the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda and future-proof our nations against other pandemics. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the climate finance landscape is overly complicated and fragmented with multiple sources of finance, each having very different access requirements. This stretches the already limited capacity of developing countries, particularly small island developing states, or SIDS in short, to mobilize adequate finance for meaningful climate action. There is an urgent need for more uniformed access modalities and criteria across the major bilateral, multilateral, and private sources of climate finance. Fiji is concerned by the lack of long-term commitment for climate finance from the developed world. Finance continues to be committed for quick, fly-by-night initiatives that satisfy the large resource mobilization KPIs of donors and their intermediaries. Development partners must realize that truly transformative climate or development projects in developing countries need to be spread at least over 5 to 10 years to better enable structural reforms, techno-economic assessments, creation of robust business cases, and an enabling environment for scalability. Moreover, we in the Pacific have multiple inherent vulnerabilities that result in higher cost of services delivery, and our governments end up spending much more per capita than any other nation. Such issues need to be incorporated and addressed through long-term climate development finance commitments, which bring certainty and predictability to finance flows. Such long-term perspectives and commitments are key to de-risking factors for mobilizing critical private financing in climate-vulnerable countries. On a related note, Fiji has experienced a massive decline in support for pilot initiatives that have become casualties of the rush to meet resource mobilization targets of climate financiers. There is very limited opportunity given to means and market test innovative projects through pilots to create a better business case. The need for long-term financial commitments must heavily focus on pilot testing first before scaling later, as it helps better incorporate community buy-in, encourages country-driven development needs, and promotes agile development of projects to enable better scalability. We must do away with parachuting large-scale projects from the top down if we are to truly address the drivers of socio-economic inequity and climate vulnerability. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a sustainable recovery from COVID-19 will require developing countries to diversify their economies and catalyze new streams of finance. In this regard, SIDS must realize the bountiful potential of their most prized asset, their vast ocean space. Fiji's ocean is intrinsically linked to our identity as a small island developing state, but we are not letting that name fool us. which we have, when it comes to our ocean space, under which we have complete jurisdiction, nothing is small about Fiji. Our EEZ is actually 70% larger than our landmass. And when it comes to the size of EEZ, Fiji has the 26th most expansive patch of planet under our protection. With these statistics in mind, we see our true potential as a big ocean state. This is actually significant potential for a very big, very vibrant, and very blue economy. Now, Fiji thanks the Global North for facilitating the debt service suspension initiative DSSI until June of 2021, even though it is a little more than a band-aid solution for mortal wounds when adverse effect will be felt for years to come if more long-term solutions are not adopted. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, these are just a few of the many issues and solutions that we need to openly discuss and rapidly operationalize if we are to meet our long-term development goals. There is much to do and no time to waste, and I urge the Secretariat to note the need to have meaningful follow-ups after this roundtable, and Fiji suggests the need to have a high-level working group or a task force that would help operationalize the recommendations emanating from our discussions today. I thank you very much, Chair.